We hear it all the time nowadays. Make sure that your posture is flawless or perfect. Keep your back straight. Make sure your chest is up. Make sure you look like a statue. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Posture is one of those things that people make snap decisions about you on. It's the reason why people watching is so interesting because you can just judge them by based on what they look like and what they're doing. And people watching is awesome and creepy, but a lot more awesome than creepy. So I do it all the time. I definitely, but less creepy than you think. It's just fun. Regardless, what I like to tell you about posture is that really it's the first impression and it's the fundamental step. It's the fundamental step to your outer confidence. Now, what does this actually mean? If you were to walk into a room and you were to see me for the first time ever, you had no idea who I was, and I was just sitting there like this, and I'd look very different than if I was just sitting there like this and looking around. Right, so you would make these snap decisions about what's going on, whether you're conscious about it or not. You'd see what's happening, and the thing with the proper posture is that it really conveys in who you are. When you're hidden like this, and so let's go through the different levels and understanding what it is. When you're like this is, I call it the quote unquote, like the little gremlin state that you're in. You're just like, God. And what happens in this state, it's almost as if, like, you know, when you're cold, you kind of tend to shiver, or when you're sick, you're not feeling that good, or it's like somebody just socked you right in the stomach and you're just like, oh, I'm in so much pain. And you're trying to portray to someone, you're trying to talk to someone in that posture. Now, I know it's really hard. I may gremlin a lot of the times of the day when I slouch over and I look at my phone, or when I'm typing on the computer. I'm like gremlin mode usually, and it's hard. It's not easy. It's a lot easier said than done. Just keep your back straight, and then 3 seconds later, slouched over again. But the more you do, it's something that the more you do, the better you become. So we've covered the little gremlin stage, like, right? And then you have the opposite, which is like the stick shoved right up your butt, and and that's just like this state here, and you're just walking around like, oh yeah, look at me, this is what's going on, and it just looks so off and so douchey. Just no, that just go away. What you want is in between this stick guy and this gremlin. You want right in the middle. And so what I like to do is just keep it straight. And what happens, there's a lot of things that happen when you're in good posture. You start to speak more clearly. You start to feel a lot better, a lot more confident, and you come off as authentic, right? Because if I'm hiding behind something like this, and there's a lot of things going wrong with me that you can't quite pick out, like, what is happening? Something seems, you're not 100% aligned to who you are. However, when I got the good posture, what happens is I come off as like authentic. It's just me. I'm like just being me, right? And so as I'm speaking to you, you're able to just feel that and resonate with that, and you're able to tell, well, or maybe you just can't tell. You're like, hey, well, they seem to know what they're talking about, or I feel like they know what they're talking about. Yeah, I trust them. And you have no idea why, but posture is a huge player in this. So one of the things I want you to kind of think about is, you know, the women in Africa, there's a couple of them in some parts of Africa that carry around those big water containers, and sometimes they're up to like 40 pounds worth of water weight in there that they carry on top of their heads for like miles and miles at a time. And what they have to do, they cannot slouch over like this, because if they slouched over, it adds so much pain everywhere else. They need to be in perfect alignment, and they're able to just carry this waterway, which is absolutely amazing for such long distances. And you're just like, how in the world do you do that? In a different scenario, like for me right now, is I'm learning handstands, and I absolutely love these guys. And what happens, so assuming this is the ground, and this is me going up on my hands, these are my little hands, and as I'm going up, what happens is this is actually much harder than it is when you're straight up. When your hips are in line with your hands, what happens is it just becomes straight, and there's this like relaxation vibe almost, and it's so much easier than when you're misaligned. And it's the same thing. It's a lot more noticeable handstands because I barely ever do handstands. I spend most of my time walking on my own 2 feet. I don't know, some people might be different. Never know. Let's just jump right into action. How do you fix this thing up? There's so many ways out there that, hey, keep your back straight, be aware of this and this. Honestly, I like to keep it just nice and simple. And all I do is I just rotate my arms back 4 times. And there's your 4th one. And you just relax. Done deal. And if I'm sitting down, what I like to do is I just sit up on my sit bones. I just move up a little bit. And that's it. That's all you need. It doesn't come off as, yo, check me out, and there's like chest blasting, blah. And it's not like closed in, kill the gremlin. Don't, and I don't know what gremlins, what they even sound like or whatever, but it's a nice neutral state. And now this is something you could do whatever. If you don't want to move your arm circles, just simply rotate your shoulders back 4 times. And you'll notice that they kind of just sit in place. In terms of ongoing action, so how do you make this thing last for a while, for as long as possible? And this is an ongoing practice. I just simply download an app on my phone. I believe it's called just Remind Me. And what it does, I set this random reminder that just says posture. And it's whatever, it reminds me once a day. It could be morning, afternoon, or night. It's completely randomized. And once it pops up, just says posture, I just click okay. And what I do is I just self-assess, and what am I feeling? And how am I actually sitting? What is my actual posture at the moment? And I just tend to just correct it, micro correction here and there if it's really off. If it's really off, I just do my circles. And I just sit there and I relax, and done deal. And as you do this more and more, what happens is that it becomes just a natural thing you do, and just naturally how you carry yourself a lot more of the time. So get out there and have some good posture.